They've been feeding you lies about honesty, about transparency, about being your authentic self. But what if I told you that every time you open up, every time you share your truth, you're actually handing over the knife that will one day cut you down? 500 years ago, a man named Niccolo Machiavelli cracked the code of human nature. He discovered that the world doesn't reward the honest, it devours them. While everyone else was preaching virtue, he was studying power. And what he found will shake you to your core. The people who rise to power, who command respect, who never seem to get burned, they all follow these unspoken rules. They've learned what you're about to learn. That in a world full of players, the person who reveals everything is the first to lose everything. Never reveal them, because some truths are too dangerous to share. And today, you're about to learn exactly what those are. Secret 1. Never expose your ultimate goals. Everyone tells you to dream big and share your vision. Mentors say, network with your ambitions. Social media screams, manifest your destiny publicly. But Machiavelli knew better. Everyone can see what you seem to be. Only a few come to know what you truly are. The moment you announce your destination, you invite interference. You think you're being inspiring, but you're actually painting a target on your back. That promotion you want, the moment your colleagues know you want it, they start sabotaging subtly. That business you want to start, the second you share the idea, someone's already planning to beat you to market. Your ambition makes people uncomfortable because it forces them to confront their own mediocrity. So they'll smile to your face while placing obstacles in your path. They'll question your readiness, spread doubt about your capabilities, or simply work harder to ensure you don't get what you want. Watch the people who actually win. They don't announce their moves. They make them. They don't declare their intentions. They execute them. While everyone else is talking about their 5-year plan, the strategic person is already 3 steps into year 2. You want that leadership position? Don't say, I'm gunning for management. Say, I'm just trying to add value wherever I can. You want to leave your job? Don't announce your exit strategy. Just quietly build your skills and network until the day you hand in your resignation with your next move already secured. The masters of power understand that surprise is the ultimate advantage. When your goals are invisible, your competition can't prepare. When your ambitions are hidden, your rivals can't counter-move. When your destination is secret, no one can block the path. Your biggest dreams should be your most guarded secrets. Because the moment someone knows where you're going, they know exactly where to set the trap. The next secret I'm about to reveal is something you probably did just moments ago, thinking it was harmless venting or casual trauma dumping. Secret 2. Never admit your deepest fears. Be vulnerable, they say. Share your struggles, they insist. Let people see your human side. But what they're really asking is for you to hand over the instruction manual for your own destruction. Every time you admit what terrifies you, what keeps you awake at night, what makes you question yourself, you're giving someone else the blueprint for your downfall. They don't need to physically harm you. They just need to trigger the fears you've already confessed. You say you're afraid of being abandoned. Watch how they start pulling away during arguments, using silence as a weapon. You admit you're insecure about your intelligence. Notice how they'll start questioning your ideas in public, making you doubt every contribution. You confess you're terrified of failure? See how they'll remind you of every mistake when you're about to take a risk. Machiavelli observed that men are so simple and so obedient to present necessities that he who deceives will always find someone who will let himself be deceived. People collect your fears like ammunition, storing them carefully until the moment they need leverage over you. The most dangerous part? They won't attack directly. They'll use your own confessions to make you attack yourself. They'll create situations that trigger your deepest anxieties, then sit back and watch you self-destruct. They'll engineer scenarios where your worst fears seem to be coming true, then offer to help you for a price. Your fears are valid, your anxieties are real, but they belong to you and your therapist, not to the world. The person who knows nothing about your inner torment can't weaponize it. The person who can't read your insecurities can't exploit them. Face your fears in private. Work through your anxieties with professionals. But to the world, you're unshakable, because the moment they know what breaks you, they'll keep breaking it until you surrender. The most confident-seeming people you know aren't fearless. They're just smart enough to process their fears in private. Your emotional wounds are not conversation starters. They're classified information that could destroy you in the wrong hands. This might make you feel like a fake person, but Machiavelli would say otherwise. Secret 3. Never disclose your true loyalties. You think loyalty is admirable, that people respect you for being clear about who you support, that transparency about your alliances builds trust. But in the game of power, visible loyalty is visible weakness. When people know exactly who you're connected to, they know how to isolate you. They know which relationships to poison, which people to turn against you, which bridges to burn. Your visible alliances become their roadmap for your destruction. Machiavelli warned, "A prince who is not himself wise cannot be wisely advised." Translation: if they can see your advisory circle, they can corrupt it. If they know who influences you, they can manipulate those influences. If they understand your support system, they can systematically dismantle it. This doesn't mean you shouldn't have deep loyalties. It means you shouldn't advertise them. The colleague who always has your back? Don't make it obvious in meetings. The friend who gives you the best advice? Don't name-drop them in conversations. The mentor who's guiding your career? Keep that relationship off social media. Public neutrality is private power. When people can't figure out which side you're on, they can't use your loyalties against you. When your alliances are invisible, your enemies waste time and energy trying to map connections that they'll never fully understand. The strategic person maintains cordial relationships with everyone while revealing deep trust to no one publicly. They're polite to their rivals, professionally distant from their allies, and mysteriously neutral in office politics. This isn't fake, it's protective. Your real inner circle should be so hidden that even people close to you don't know its full extent. Because the moment someone maps your loyalty network, they've mapped your vulnerabilities. When everyone knows who you trust, everyone knows how to manipulate you, because they know exactly which people to pressure, corrupt, or remove. Next is something you boast about with pride, unaware it's the trap that leads to your collapse. Secret 4. Never reveal what drives your soul. They'll ask about your why. They want to know your deeper purpose, your core motivation, what gets you out of bed every morning. And if you answer honestly, you've just handed them the remote control to your life. You say you're driven by wanting to prove your worth. They'll withhold recognition to control your behavior. You admit you're motivated by making your parents proud. They'll use guilt and family pressure as leverage. You confess you just want to be loved and accepted. They'll withdraw affection every time you don't comply with their wishes. Your deepest motivation isn't inspiration. It's your off switch. Once someone knows what truly moves you, they know exactly how to stop you from moving. They'll dangle false promises of fulfilling that motivation to distract you from real progress. They'll threaten to take away what you need most to keep you obedient. Machiavelli understood that the ends justify the means, not because ethics don't matter, but because people will manipulate your ethics to prevent you from reaching your ends. They'll appeal to your noble motivations to keep you playing small. They'll convince you that wanting success is selfish, that ambition is toxic, that your dreams are unrealistic. Surface motivations are safe. I enjoy the challenge. I'm curious. I like solving problems. These give people nothing to manipulate. The person who can't access your core motivation can't control your actions. Let them discover your true motivation through your results, not your confessions. Because the person who must explain their fire has already let someone else hold the extinguisher. The moment someone knows what you're really fighting for, they know exactly how to make you stop fighting. Your deepest why should be so protected that people only understand it when they see what you've built with it. Secret 5. Never admit what disgusts you. In an ideal world, revealing what repulses or disturbs you would earn respect for your boundaries. But this isn't an ideal world. This is a realm filled with individuals who exploit your vulnerabilities. You declare, "I despise people who disappear on you," and suddenly they'll vanish just to witness your breakdown. You announce, "I cannot tolerate being dismissed." Now every quiet moment becomes weaponized neglect. You confess, "I detest deception," and now lies will come wrapped in believable excuses. Why does this happen? Because the deeper your aversion to something, the more psychological leverage it grants others. Machiavelli cautioned, "A ruler must master both the nature of beasts and men," meaning you should appear courteous while remaining internally impenetrable. You don't react, you don't flinch, you don't betray emotion. Once someone discovers your revulsions, they'll probe. Not obviously, but carefully, methodically, strategically, to determine if they can manipulate you through repulsion, to test if hatred makes you vulnerable. So what's your strategy? You cultivate emotional detachment, not to become submissive, but to become unreadable. Don't reveal which provocations affect you. Don't expose which individuals intimidate you. Don't show who irritates you. Act as though you're invulnerable entirely. Because once they identify who you despise, they can make you pursue vindication rather than influence. Every emotional trigger you reveal becomes a weapon someone will use against you when they need to control your behavior. Secret 6. Never disclose your breaking point. People think that setting clear boundaries protects you, that stating your limits earns respect, that being explicit about what you won't tolerate creates healthy relationships. But manipulators don't respect boundaries. They study them to find exactly where to apply pressure. You say, "I'll never leave this relationship no matter what." Congratulations, you just announced that you have no exit strategy, which means they can treat you however they want. You declare, "This job means everything to me." Perfect. Now they know they can overwork and underpay you because you won't go anywhere. You admit, "I can't survive without this friendship." Excellent. They've just learned they can abuse your loyalty without consequences. Machiavelli observed that he who neglects what is done for what ought to be done sooner effects his ruin than his preservation. In other words, idealistic declarations about what you'll never do often guarantee that you'll end up doing exactly that. But only after you've been pushed far beyond what should have been your actual limit. Your real boundaries should be invisible lines that others discover only by crossing them. You don't announce, "I won't tolerate disrespect." You simply become unavailable to disrespectful people. You don't declare, "I refuse to be undervalued." You quietly start performing at exactly the level you're being compensated for. The strategic person never threatens to leave. They just start building their exit. They don't announce what they won't accept. They simply stop accepting it. They don't explain their boundaries. They enforce them through action, not words. When people don't know your breaking point, they can't dance right up to the edge of it. When they can't map your limits, they can't systematically violate them. When your boundaries are invisible, people discover them the same way they discover electric fences, by getting shocked. Secret 7. Never expose your self-image. This is where most people destroy themselves without even realizing it. They serve their weaknesses on a silver platter, then wonder why they're always being devoured. They think sharing their self-perception creates authenticity, that admitting their insecurities shows growth, that being honest about their self-worth invites support. But your self-image is the master key to your entire psychological system. Tell someone you think you're not smart enough, and watch how they'll reinforce that belief in subtle ways, questioning your ideas, explaining simple concepts condescendingly, making you doubt every intelligent thought you have. Admit you feel unattractive, and notice how they'll make comments about your appearance that chip away at whatever confidence you're trying to build. But it works both ways. Express too much confidence in yourself, and they'll mark you for humiliation. Say you think you're destined for greatness, and people will line up to prove you wrong. Admit you believe you're more capable than your current circumstances suggest, and watch how they'll work to keep you exactly where you are. Machiavelli understood this truth. People are so naive and driven by immediate needs that a deceiver will always find willing victims. And your greatest con? Allowing others to believe they've figured you out completely. So what's your approach? Keep them guessing. Perform the character they can handle. Modest, inquisitive, harmless. Don't reveal you're constructing something enormous. Allow their ridicule and complacency, because ease breeds negligence, and their carelessness becomes your disguise. You want to become unstoppable. Let them assume you're motionless. Let them chuckle while you orchestrate the strategy they'll never anticipate. Your self-image is the foundation of your entire psychological house. Why would you give strangers the blueprint to tear it down? Secret 8. Never reveal your contingency plans. Here's the secret they don't teach in business school, therapy, or leadership seminars. Your backup plans are more valuable than your main strategy. And the moment you reveal them, they become useless. You think transparency about your options shows you're prepared, that sharing your contingency plans demonstrates strategic thinking, that being open about your alternatives builds trust. But every plan B you reveal becomes a plan A for someone else to sabotage. You mention you're considering other job opportunities during salary negotiations. Watch how they'll poison those opportunities behind your back while stringing you along. You admit you have other investment options. Notice how suddenly those alternatives become less attractive through mysterious market pressures. You confess you're thinking about ending a relationship if things don't improve. See how they'll manipulate the situation to make leaving seem impossible. Machiavelli taught that everyone sees what you appear to be, few experience what you really are. Your visible options are what people will attack. Your hidden alternatives are what will save you. The person who appears to have no choice actually has the most power, because their real choices remain protected. This principle extends beyond major life decisions into daily interactions. The colleague who doesn't know you have other projects can't sabotage them. The friend who doesn't know you have other social circles can't isolate you from them. Your contingency plans should be so hidden that when you activate them, everyone else is shocked by how prepared you were. They should wonder, how did they have this ready? The answer, because you never told them you were getting it ready. The strategic person always has multiple options, but presents as if they have none. They negotiate from strength while appearing to have limited alternatives. They maintain leverage by keeping their real power invisible. The options you keep secret are the ones that will actually be available when you need them most. Your backup plans lose all their power the moment they stop being backup secrets. The strategic silence advantage. Now you understand what never to reveal, but Machiavelli's true genius wasn't just in concealment. It was in transforming silence into psychological dominance. Silence isn't empty space. It's compressed power waiting to be unleashed. When you don't fill every silence with explanation, people start filling it with their own fears and assumptions. They'll assume you know more than you're saying. They'll imagine you're planning something they can't predict. They'll project their own guilt and insecurities onto your quiet confidence. Your silence becomes a psychological mirror. Instead of giving them information about you, you force them to reveal information about themselves. They'll talk too much, trying to fill your silence, exposing their own strategies, insecurities, and plans. This is why the most powerful people in any room often speak the least. Not because they have nothing to say, but because they understand that the person who speaks last controls the conversation. The one who reveals the least holds the most cards. The individual who maintains mystery commands the most respect. People are addicted to being understood, to having their motivations validated, to feeling heard. But you've transcended that need. You've realized that being understood is far less valuable than being underestimated by your enemies and overestimated by your allies. Silence is leadership. Restraint is strength. Mystery is magnetism. When people can't predict your next move, they can't prepare counter moves. When they can't read your thoughts, they can't manipulate your thinking. When they can't decode your motivations, they can't redirect your actions. You don't need to be rich yet. You don't need to be influential yet. You don't need to dominate the room. But you must be impossible to decipher, because mysterious people are unbreakable. You can't tell what drives them. You can't tell what terrifies them. You can't tell what would destroy them, because they never revealed it. This is what Machiavelli warned us about, the power of looking righteous without ever being held to it, operating in the real world. Here's how you implement these principles without becoming a robot or losing your humanity. Because Machiavelli's approach wasn't withdrawal, it was penetration. He didn't advocate lurking in corners. He said, "Become the darkness within the light." To succeed, you must navigate quietly through established structures. Master the protocols, participate in discussions, appreciate their humor, acknowledge their strategies, but expose nothing authentic. You're not pretending to agree, you're reserving judgment. Here's the practical application. They inquire, "What's your opinion of this individual?" You respond, "Intriguing. I need more observation." They probe, "What's your upcoming move?" You answer, "Still analyzing options." They press, "What do you ultimately want?" You reply, "Stability, mainly." Offer them dust. Offer them emptiness. Offer them responses that seem genuine but provide no ammunition. Why? Because influence diminishes when it becomes foreseeable, and you are now deliberately unforeseeable. Influence doesn't always resemble control. Sometimes it's the unseen force that shifts dynamics without detection. Allow others to explode. Allow others to confront openly. Allow others to display their pride. You adjust quietly. When someone undermines you, you don't debate, you don't respond. You recalibrate. You withdraw privileges. You delay communications. You alter trajectories privately. This is Machiavellian discipline. No outburst, just gradual change. They won't realize your involvement, but they'll sense the transformation. They'll notice the distance. They'll experience the pressure of an authority they can't identify, and it will disturb them. People believe you must win every confrontation, but Machiavelli recognized every public conflict extracts a price: credibility, resources, attention. So how do you prevail without commotion? You endure, you strategize, you cultivate uncertainty in your opponent's thoughts without direct contact. Suppose someone opposes you, attempts to undermine you, circulates gossip. You don't engage, you don't worry, you don't justify. You simply contract your network, you cease divulging, you operate discreetly. And eventually they discover you've claimed the position they assumed was theirs. You didn't battle. You displaced them, using quietude as your weapon. Remember, whoever must eliminate others to advance shows weakness. Whoever advances silently becomes mythical, because nobody anticipates it. And what people cannot anticipate, they cannot prevent. The science of strategic expression. Individuals consistently expose themselves through excessive speech. Therefore, your language must accomplish one objective: either fabricate an illusion or mask a purpose. Every phrase must serve the haze. You're not fabricating, you're warping their perspective. Someone inquires, "Are you attempting to control this?" You grin. "I simply aim to help however possible." Someone observes, "You've changed recently." You agree, just turning attention inward. These aren't falsehoods, they're diversions. Because the more others attempt to decode your words, the less effort they invest in challenging your moves. You're not invisible, you're not impenetrable, you're reflective. And when individuals cannot interpret you, they project themselves instead. That's the source of their unease and their reverence, because you are now indecipherable and perilous to dismiss. Substituting disclosure with void, you've cut out the weakness. So what fills the space now? Nothing. Absence, not additional details, not an improved personal account, not fresh explanations. You substitute void. Why? Because void compels others to create meaning, and they invariably create anxiety, longing, or awe. The individual who remains silent, following betrayal. Menacing, because their next action remains unknown. The individual who doesn't explain their goals. Formidable, because they might be strategizing beyond your comprehension. The individual who stays neutral during conflict. Respected, because chaos doesn't influence them, meaning nothing influences them. This was Machiavelli's mastery. People judge primarily through observation rather than experience. All perceive your appearance. Few know your essence. He grasped that perception equals power, and perception forms not through revelation, but through concealment. That creates authority. Not charm, not transparency, not appeal, but the restraint to remain mysterious in a world obsessed with exposure. When individuals exit your life, you owe no resolution. When individuals betray you, you owe no justification. When individuals question you, you owe no proof. Let quietude be their consequence. Let distance be your response. Let your success be their epitaph. Those who cross your boundaries shouldn't receive education. They should lose privileges. This represents Machiavelli's core lesson. Never allow someone to dissect your essence after proving they cannot safeguard it. The evolution. Your movement changes now. You no longer speak for attention. You speak for direction. You no longer expose feelings. You expose utility. You no longer defend your withdrawal. Your withdrawal communicates everything. Others might not voice it directly, but they sense it deeply. I cannot read their thoughts, but I know not to test them. That's silence's currency. That's secrecy's reward. That's what protecting your deepest truths generates. A mental atmosphere of apprehension and intrigue. You're no longer someone they can easily categorize. You're now a force they must accommodate. You needn't become manipulative. You needn't become distant. You needn't dominate others. You only need to control the gateway. What people discover, what people observe, what people feel entitled to access. And when you seal those entrances, sovereignty returns to you. Machiavelli's most profound principle wasn't about brutality. It concerned boundaries. One who masters themselves surpasses one who conquers cities. And now you've mastered the compulsion to elaborate, to release, to be understood by all. You've abandoned the version that hemorrhaged whenever someone probed your inner world. Now they'll remain ignorant, because now you don't expose. You watch, you advance, you execute. And when they finally comprehend your nature, it will be far too late to prevent you. The final call. If this video changed how you think about power, privacy, and protection, then you understand something most people never will, that the game was always being played. But now you know the rules. Subscribe and hit the notification bell. But more importantly, start implementing these principles today. The next time someone asks you a probing question, practice the strategic responses I've given you. In the comments, just write "understood" if you're ready to operate differently. That's all you need to say. Because from now on, your power lies not in what you reveal, but in what you keep to yourself. Welcome to your Machiavellian transformation. Use it wisely.